Yep. Cool. We get there. Tick up, 3 to face. And good game. Get in for 8 in the air. Create a bunch of treasure. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate the time you spend with us, and I really appreciate all of my new subscribers. Hello, welcome to the channel. Thanks so much for choosing to spend your time with the Champ Dog. So I'm just about to chill out with a cup of tea. I had some coffee a little earlier in the day. Actually, I overslept a little bit and then spent about half the day playing Fallout 4 on the old PlayStation. And yeah, decided I should rejoin productive society, have a shower, do some cleaning around the house, put some laundry away, and I'm just chilling out to do a bit of recording. Got myself a green tea because I had the coffee earlier, but yeah, jump in. Let's have a synchronized sip. Here's to you. Can you hear that? The birds outside are singing just a little bit more sweetly. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us today, guys. We're going to be jumping into the arena to play a deck that I'm hoping to have a lot of fun with, but I guess we'll find out. But I'm not going to spoil the surprise right now. Wait a couple of seconds and you'll see what we're playing. So today, guys, we're going to be playing some Prismari ramp. So if you've been lurking on the channel for a while, you might remember the big red decks that I was playing around Zendikar Rising, Kaldheim, that were mainly built around trying to get Irencrag Fate to power out an early Ugin. So this is a iteration on that deck. Instead of the black that I incorporated in my build in Kaldheim, the deck builders here have chosen to include blue to give us a small counterspell package and also Prismari command. So the counterspell package is really important against control-y decks and against Sultai Ultimatum to stop them just going over the top of us trying to go over the top. So yeah, it's obviously a different meta, so they've decided to go with blue, decided the counterspells were more important, which I understand. And I feel like Prismari command really shines here, but I'm going to touch on that a bit more after the gameplay video. If you haven't seen those decks, as I said, the main idea is we use Irencrag Feet to power out an Ugin the Spirit Dragon ahead of schedule, and that can just be really difficult for opponents to deal with. So on turn 5, you can play Irencrag Feet to get 7 mana, have 1 mana left, power out an Ugin. But the other advantage here is playing blue gives us access to Magma Opus, which, as well as being something else we can power out early through ramping, also gives us the opportunity to actually get out Ugin on turn 4. And you will actually see that come up in one of the videos. So the play pattern there is on turn 3 or earlier, whenever, we discard Magma Opus to create a treasure token. So on turn 4, we play our 4th land, and we now have access to 5 mana. So we can tap our 4 lands, Irencrag Feet, produce 7 mana, sack the treasure for an extra mana, and bang, turn 4 Ugin. We can also get a turn 4 Magma Opus in the same way. And sometimes we'll just use that to power out the turn 4 Goldspan Dragon. You know, you guys will be familiar with that play pattern from the Is It Dragons deck. But yeah, in this one, we can have a turn 4 Ugin, baby. Pretty exciting. I think that's pretty strong and pretty difficult for opponents to deal with. So this list I actually got off MTG EASIN. I saw one of the headlines just come up on my newsfeed during the week, and I jumped in and had a look at the deck list, and I just knew I had to play this because I played the pants of the Big Red and the Rakdos versions back in Zendikar and Kaldheim Standard. So yeah, I was really excited to play this this weekend and share it with you guys. I got 2 really nice matches coming up. I did actually play a third. There's actually the first off camera, which I lost because I was playing really badly. I just this deck requires a particular style of play, and I just approached the deck wrong. I approached the matchup wrong and gave my opponent probably 2 of the easiest wins of their life. So you'll see here we do have a bit of the sideboard. We have a full 15-card sideboard, actually. Words have meanings. Use them properly. So the idea with the sideboard is to be a little bit transformational against the more controlling decks. So we bring in Phoenix of Ash so we can put a bit more pressure on them. Rolling Vortex is really good against ultimatums, obviously. Mystical Dispute so that we can be a little more proactive but still hold up some early counter magic. And Shark Typhoon is just great against all sorts of control-y decks and also against rogues. Because of that, though, we don't have much in the sideboard against aggro matchups, but they will go through all of that in the MTG EASIN article, which, as always, I'm going to link down in the description, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, I was just really excited to play this. I loved this whole ramp into Ugin nonsense. Crawling Barons was an old MVP in that list, although I don't really use it much in the games you're going to see. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Let's just jump on into the games. I do have a bit of a wrap in the post game where I go through what I think are some of the strengths and weaknesses of the deck, as well as just have a ramble because I'm feeling nostalgic and I loved this the Red and Rakdos versions of this deck back in the day. But yeah, let's jump on into the games and I'll catch you on the flip side. Getting the plays pretty nice. Hand is okay. It's a lot of tap lands, which is unfortunate, but I think it's keepable. Just lead on the Triome. If we draw into more lands, there's a chance we may want to cast Jwari Disruption. Hey, we're up against Rakdos again. We just had a really short-lived game against a Rakdos sack. This is fine. We're obviously just going to drop the Ox of Agonis here. We just got absolutely bodied by them. Had some very unfortunate draws. So we're holding up Prismari command here. And also Disruption, which is nice. Why is it making me target like that? That's weird. That's very weird. Fourth land, never punished. So when we cast command, we probably want to use the draw to discard 2. Sure. Get some things into our yard to feed the Ox. And I think we just create a treasure token as well. Oh, well, these are all pretty nice, aren't they? So next turn I can Magma Opus, which is pretty ridiculous. So I guess I don't need the Fire Prophecy. So 1, 1, and 2 to face. Tap a land. Tap a land. It's unfortunate we can't do this at instant speed. But the Irencrag feat means we need to go sorcery. And I mean, they can do some sack shenanigans here if they want to, although they've only got red mana open. But we still make a 4-4 and draw some cards. Do I need another Prismari command? Probably not at the moment. Next turn is probably Dragon. I've got enough cards in the yard to feed the Ox, more or less. That would have been a nice one to counter, but unfortunately we didn't get there. Yeah, I think we just Dragon here. And we'll have enough mana up to hard cast Saw It Coming if we want to, or we can cast Prismari Command as well. Get the opponent on the defensive, which is nice. Still not enough cards in their yard for Croxa, which is good for us. Yeah, that Magma Opus was big for us. It was very big for us. Sure. Forbidden Friendship. I guess I counter it, just because that's, you know, their whole turn. I don't like this having to target all the time with my counter spells. I'll tell you that much. I can tell you that. I don't really need this Prismari command right now. So I'm just going to kill off this Scorpion like this. Does get them a fair few pings, but we're about to crack in for 8. And then we can play this mountain and bring back the Ox. So happy that animation and sound is back. It's so much more satisfying. Alright, we have Ugin next turn. That's pretty good. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana potentially, but there's nothing I can do with it. But yeah, we're in a pretty strong position here. Our opponent's still stuck on lands, which is unfortunate for them. What you got there? Yeah, not enough cards to bring back Croxer, unfortunately. Even if you do have another land. Sure, Croxer. This is an easy mountain. So they gain a bit of life, but that's pretty much their whole turn. And they're dead on board. What else have you got there? An exploding head. Your head explode. I don't think Disdainful Stroke is good in this match. I just don't think it does anything. I think the Phoenix might be better. And yeah, let's just run it back like this, I think. Is there anything that's actively bad in this match? Cool. Oops. Opponent will probably take a little bit longer with their sideboarding. I think we've thrown them a curveball and they don't know what we're doing. Which is understandable. Mind you, we don't really have anything in our sideboard for them. The sideboard in this deck is really streamlined. I don't know how I feel about that. Still going. I'm giving my opponent the benefit of the doubt on this one. I don't think they're like salt roping. I think they were, yeah, like they roped in that last game, but I think they're just trying to figure out what to do because we've thrown them a curveball. So while we're waiting, I'm just going through a Strixhaven pack that I purchased. I got a couple of the shiny Japanese Mystical Archive cards. And a non-shiny one. That's pretty dope. Okay, we are back. On the draw, of course. This hand's not amazing, but I think it's okay. I think we were playing this game, approaching this matchup wrong in the previous game, which you guys aren't going to see anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think I was just trying too hard to control the board, soak up all the tokens. Like, I just don't think this deck can't really play that game, unfortunately. Okay, so I can discard this, and next turn I will have access to 4 mana. I think I'm better off just foretelling. I think I just have to accept that the pings are going to come. And the 1/1s are going to happen. They're going to get some of their sacrifice stuff, but I'm just trying to completely overpower them in the late game. Something like a Bastion here will obviously suck, but... And not finding another land sucks as well. So we've got 3 8-drops and haven't hit more land. We're going to discard a... unless they cast something important that we need to counter, like a Bastion of Remembrance. Otherwise we're just discarding this. Opponent missed a land drop as well, so that's something in our favor. Okay, bang. That's really good for us. Play out the Goldspan Dragon. Unfortunately, it looks like they have the removal spell. There it is. But we can run back the same play next turn. It just means we can't counter a Bastion if they have it this turn. Okay, tap land, so they can't have it. That's good. So we'll take our 3 here. Okay, Croxa. Yep. Ox goes in the bin. Obviously really hoping to find a land next turn. Actually need a couple of lands. That's an easy counter. That is an easy counter spell. Okay, we find a land. We are quickly running out of life. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, so I can't cast these yet. It might be a case where I cash one in for treasure to play out an Ugin or an Opus next turn, especially if they do end up bringing back that Croxa. I wish I had a removal spell or some piece of interaction to get rid of these guys. So we can't contest a Bastion at the moment. Hey, there's Irencrag Fate. So even without the dragon, we've still got 8 mana here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So I think we just I think we're gonna Magma Opus. Okay, so 1 damage to you, 1 damage to you, 2 damage to face. We don't want to kill the Scorpion because they get more drains off it. And we're going to tap your Temple and tap your Scorpion. They can plumb in response if they'd like. Village Rites, sure. The Scorpion would have survived there, but I guess they really want that ping. And we are down to 3, which is pretty low. We lose our dragon. That's unfortunate. What else have they got? They really really trying to delay resolving this spell. Bone Crusher Giant's nice though. They can bring back Croxer here. They have the mana. Sorry, they have the cards. They don't have the mana is what I'm trying to say. This is a pretty easy disruption. Punished for not playing a land there if they have one. Okay, so the easy part of this turn is attack. So I have access to, if I turn this into Irencrag feet, that's 7, 8, 9, 10. So I should be able to stomp. So if I stomp, I have access to 2 red lands, and I can use the treasure then for the third one. I should be able to do this, right? Yeah, so if I do this, I know I'm being overcautious here. I just don't want to throw away lethal if I have it. So red, 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 Irencrag feet, produce 7, blue, Ugin, 3 to face. Yeah, cool. We get there. Tick up, 3 to face. And good game. Yay. Silver tier 1. We're doing it. Okay, so yeah, that's a name that person chose. This hand is awkward. Fire Prophecy can tuck something and help us find a land, and we can dig with Prismari command. So if we hit 1 or 2 lands, this hand will come together really nicely, and we can do the thing, the early Ugin thing. So I think I think this is keepable. Like, this hand has a plan, and with just drawing like 1 or 2 lands, which is the most likely thing for me to draw, it can win. So I think it's worth keeping. Lead on this has to be tapped. That's a very pretty forest, says that. Okay, so this is mono green by the looks of it. What are we going to be tucking with Fire Prophecy? I think we just take the 2 here, see if there's a more demanding target. Chances are there's not. Okay. There is. So, yeah, Fire Prophecy the Mammoth, and then if we want to use Prismari command to kill the ooze, we have to do it on our turn. What card are we tucking? Probably the Ox, I think, at this point. So we do hit a land, but it's tapped, which is a little unfortunate. So if we want to kill the ooze, and I think we do, I need to take 3 to do it. Kinda sucks. Actually, you know what? Oh, we can't turn 4 Ugin, it's turn 5. I keep forgetting how this works. No, we can. If we Opus... Yep, okay, no, I think we just, we ignore the ooze for now, and we aim to get the turn 4 Ugin. I'd rather try and find a pain-free untapped land, I think. So this turn we discard the Opus to make a treasure. So next turn we have access to 5 mana. And we can Irencrag into Ugin. Okay, that's the plan. And then Ugin cleans up the battlefield quite commandingly. Accidentally set too many stops there. Opponent's in the tank over there. I mean, I guess we were on our turn, so they might just think they're giving us back some of our own medicine. And if that's how they feel, honestly, that's fine. The potential problem with our current plan is our opponent could play a questing beast in response. Now, questing beast has fallen somewhat out of favor. Yeah, I think we just I think we tick up and kill the mammoth. So we could have ticked down to 3, and as I said, they can follow up with a questing beast. So if they have this way, even if they spend their turn activating the ooze, that's pretty much their whole turn, and we can Prismari command and Ugin tick up to kill it anyway. And it does put our opponent into a little bit of a bind. The ooze dies if they do nothing. Oh, okay, so they Gruul. Probably don't have questing beast then. The ooze dies if they do nothing. But if they spend the turn trying to protect the ooze, they're not developing their battlefield, and I can still kill it with the Ugin really easily. Feel kind of bad picking on a bronze ranker like this, but I mean, I'm only silver rank myself. I haven't played much, so my rank didn't go up very high, and we did just have the season reset. Okay, they go face. Okay, no, we're not going face. Okay. So they're just trying to get the ooze out of Ugin range by the looks of it. And they could have a Bone Crusher in hand. So we'll tick up first. And then Prismari command. We definitely want to do 2, but do we want to create a treasure or do we want to loot? Let's loot. So the treasure would allow us to hold up Dwari Disruption. Looting can potentially find us a land. Do we want a backup Ugin? Probably not. At the moment. This is going to be difficult for them to answer at the moment anyway. So yeah, I think this is okay. Honestly, more land is nice, and Crawling Barrens gives us a very nice mana sink as well. So I assume they still stomp here, yep. And obviously we're just hoping they can't deal with Ugin because we just dropped one off. Okay, play out the giant, that's fine. Very good. So this is feeling pretty good so far. They are stuck on red mana, which is obviously something holding them back a fair bit. I think this might actually be a slightly more challenging matchup under different circumstances. Get in for 8 in the air. Create a bunch of treasure. And I might as well just hold up disruption. Don't really need the land anymore. And they scoop, makes sense. Okay. So what do we want here? That's weird. I think some amount of Phoenix of Ash comes in place of some amount of Counterspell. I think it might be like that. Let me just have a think.
Can I use the heater? Oh, you don't have it in here, sorry.
It's under the desk, love. Okay. Yeah, I think we just try like this. Feels reasonable. This hand does not feel reasonable. We do have Bone Crusher, but there's a lot riding on that Bone Crusher. I meant to hit Mulligan there. That was just the brain switching off. Okay, so we hit a third land, which is nice. Rolling Vortex, okay. That doesn't really interact with our game plan in any way. Maybe they thought we were Ultimatum and we just got mana screwed. I mean, the recurring damage is okay. It's not nothing, but I think this would be better in the sideboard than bringing it in. Pretty simple play here. Honestly, I think we just play the Phoenix here. Sure. We're happy with that. That's most of their turn. It's been a pretty slow start from our opponent. So I know Gruul Adventures was a really difficult matchup for me playing the mono-red version of this in Zendikar Standard. And for both the Rakdos and mono-red versions I played in Kaldheim Standard. Okay, so unfortunately we keep missing land drops. I'm going to take 2 to get rid of the giant here. And we will tuck, I think, a gold span. I think 3 is too many. The two Ugins aren't doing much for us either. But yeah, this is going, like, surprisingly well for us. surprisingly well for us. So I hate this, but we need to use Irencrag just to power out the dragon here. No, there's no point attacking because they've got the passage. They can make this a 5/5 in instant speed. I was thinking like, well, there's no point just chump blocking. We just want to get damage in. But yeah, I realized my mistake there. I think our opponent is a little bit stuck on land, so obviously we have to block here because they can get this up to a 7/7, and I don't want to take 7 damage with our opponent still with 3 cards in hand and all of their mana untapped. There's just too many powerful follow-ups. We can, if our Goldspan Dragon survives and gets through combat and creates a treasure, we will then be able to cast Ugin, which will be pretty good for us. I really don't know where they brought in the vortexes. Oof. So that's 16 minus 3 is exactly lethal. And I had a counterspell in my hand for the Embercleave. I saw it coming. I could have just countered that. As you can tell, I'm really not playing at my best at the moment. So do I want the negate? For an Embercleave? Yep. I think the swap one sword coming for 1 negate might actually be decent. They do have the adventure spells. They have Embercleave. They might have Great Henge. But that was stupid. We threw that game away. I didn't mean to keep that hand. I obviously could have countered Embercleave. Yeah. It's been a little bit of a rough week in terms of sleep. I'm definitely not at my best. I don't love this hand, but I think it's capable. We got Bone Crusher for some, and Prismari Command for some interaction, and Prismari can help us rummage to find something a little bit nicer, a little bit sexier. Hopefully, anyway. But yeah, we just don't have quite enough interaction for this matchup. Take the 1 here, I think. They could have a follow-up Scoos. They could have an Eddy. Okay, no? Cool. We're just going to stomp this then. That's an unfortunate bit of sequencing. We're going to hold up Prismari Command here. So our ideal scenario is we can create a treasure and rummage, hit an untapped land, and play Goldspan Dragon next turn. Yep. I was going to say, it really depends on what they play this turn. So obviously there's no point commanding There's no point trying to use the damage aspect of this, so we're going to do this. Ugin's nice as well, but none of these are untapped lands. Draconic Intervention's kind of dead at the moment. I think it's a good card in this matchup, but we have nothing to turn it on with. I don't hate Fire Prophecy. I think we don't play out Bone Crusher Giant. I think we actually want to make sure we can kill off a 1/1. So that they can't attack with the beast. Mammoth, okay. I don't think Stomping Face gets us anywhere. I think we just hold. Okay, so they have Fabled Passage, so we can't just jump in with Fire Prophecy, or we will have to follow up with Stomp. I think this is a good place to Goldspan Dragon. It'll create another artifact. They could have Red Cap Melee, but they need to crack the passage for that. And that gives us our opening to cast Prophecy. But yeah, we need to be a little bit careful playing around this Mammoth at the moment. There's a very real chance we just have to take 5 here. Depending how they play this. Like if they have a land and they play before combat, there's nothing we can do. And actually then we just need to take 7. Yep. So we could try to zap it now. But then they crack the passage in response, basically. If they have Embercleave, we at least have negate for it. That's really unfortunate. Okay, but Embercleave will cost 5. Okay, so we just don't let them go to combat. We need to stomp this token. If they attack with both, they can cast Embercleave and then we just die. Ooh, they're in the tank over there. I can't imagine they have a protection spell. Yeah, I don't know what their Ow. I mean, that sucks, but there's literally nothing we could do there. Okay, so I think we kill this now and tuck the Magma Opus. That's unfortunate, but we can counter it, and we have to. But unfortunately now if they make a 1/1, there's nothing we can do. And we probably just die. Okay, another mammoth. You're telling me there's a chance. You're telling me there's a chance. This should be game. This should be pretty backbreaking for 3. 3, 3, 3. I know they're all 3, but it costs nothing to double check. Opus is nice. Won't be able to cast it next turn, but 1 or 2 turns we should be able to. And, yeah. I don't know how our opponent comes back from here. Ah, and we can just actually kill them with our Prismari command. Cool, got there. I thought that was going to be a bad matchup. I didn't know. I honestly didn't know if we were going to get that game. It was looking pretty bad for us there for a while. Feels good. So that's the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed the games. I did enjoy playing them. That one against Gruul was actually a little bit of a challenge. And as I said, off camera, I played one starting game against Rakdos Sacrifice that I got served. But I was approaching my own deck and the matchup, I think, in an incorrect way. So the deck's pretty fun. It's very similar to the Big Red Ramp list that I ran a lot on the channel a while ago. So, you know, it's nice coming back to it. As for what do I think about the deck, look, I think it's going to run into a lot of the same foibles as the Big Red Ramp deck. I don't think this is ever going to be really a contender. Ugin, as you know, is great against sort of mid-rangey decks, decks that want to play like one thing a turn. If you can get this down early and wipe the board out, it's very difficult for them to come back. Even against that Sacrifice deck, because they're playing like a lot of little things, just clearing the board, being able to like clear the board and like tick up, and be of a size that's really difficult to deal with, can be really great against mid-rangey decks and decks that want to play to the board in a lot of ways. So yeah, Ugin Ugin's Ugin. He's going to do Ugin things. He's going to win you some games. Magma Opus can be pretty backbreaking in some games as well. I love this card. I can't wait to play with it more post-rotation. But the weaknesses this deck has, tempo decks getting onto you. It's going to be bad against rogues, and it's going to be bad against aggro decks. It's actually, this version is probably going to be a little worse against aggro decks than the mono red and the Rakdos versions were, because to bring in some of the blue disruption in counter spells, we've cut some of our cheap interaction. I like Prismari command. I think it actually felt better in this deck than it has in other decks that I've played it, because this is a deck that really wants that sort of effect where you can rummage through your library, where you can create a treasure token to draw, and obviously it's another piece of interaction, but you'll notice most of our interaction is 2 damage other than Fire Prophecy. Shadow Skull Smashing, a lot of time you're going to have to play as a land, because we actually have less lands in this, I think. So we have 22 lands here, and 3 to 4 MDFCs, so we've got 26 lands all up. So the other version, the mono red and the Rakdos versions that I ran, had like 24, 25 lands plus a bunch of MDFCs. This is a mana hungry deck, so this has actually less lands and less ramp. It doesn't have our Solemn Simulacrum, for example, but yeah, I really like Prismari command. The rummage ability was really good. But yeah, as I said, I think you're going to struggle against aggro. Control decks, I think we've got a better plan because we have blue. We've got counter spells, and in the sideboard we can bring in some cards that are really good against control. Mystical Dispute's going to be great. Phoenix of Ash to give us an aggressive element, keep pressure on the board. Roiling Vortex, stop them from gaining life. Obviously really good against Ultimatum, which is the most played control-ish deck in the format, and Shark Typhoon is great against rogues, great against control, but as I said, the weakness is we've trimmed a lot on our early game interactions. So in terms of changes I would make to the deck, I'd probably trim some of this top end, and bring in a little more early interaction. Draconic Intervention. I really like this card, but it does require some attention in deck building, and in the couple of games that I played, I didn't feel that this deck was really set up well to enable Draconic Intervention. Obviously, Opus is easy to get into the graveyard, and we do have the draw discard effect from Prismari command, but I really wanted some other ways to get some decent things into the yard, because playing Draconic Intervention for 3 off a Prismari command or a Saw It Coming isn't going to do much for us. We really need big spells in the yard. The only one we have is Magma Opus. So we do have Irencrag Feet as well, I guess. But yeah, I think if you're going to do this, you need more consistent ways to get decent sized things into your yard, because you really want to be able to do at least 5 damage to clear up a Lovestruck Beast. Yeah, so I would maybe make some changes around that as well, and maybe, even just swap this to a Storm's Wrath might be more feasible for us than making all the changes we'd need to really get the best out of this card. But yeah, I could see trimming. I'd probably start with 2 Magma Opus to bring in at least 2 more Fire Prophecy, or whatever your interaction spell of choice is. If that's not what you're looking at, you might also want to change some number of your top end to something like an Elrond's Epiphany perhaps, but I really like Magma Opus. It's a really fun card. I really enjoy playing with it, but yeah, I think if I wanted to be more competitive, the first thing I'd look at is trim 2 here, bring in 2 more cheap removal spells, and maybe swap out Draconic Intervention for something else. And you might even want like a Brazen Borrower or 2 somewhere in here, but the deck felt fun. You guys know I love playing this sort of deck, but yeah, I'm going to end here because I could just keep rambling for God even knows how long, because that's the kind of mood I'm in today. But thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed the games. There's obviously a style of deck I enjoy, so we may come back to it, we may not, but I'll catch you guys in the next video. You've been brilliant. Have a great day.